What is up, everybody? My name is Kyle and welcome to my channel. If this is your first time here, thank you so much for joining. I hope you like what you see. If you are returning, thank you so much for coming back. I hope that means you've liked what you've seen so far. Today's video is probably the least prepared I've been for a video so far. It's just there's stuff I want to get done here around the house, and in the interest of this channel, I wanted to make sure I was filming it. So, wanted to shoot this intro, get into some of the stuff I know I'm going to be doing. There may be some more to this video, but yeah, this is the intro. So the stuff I'm going to be getting to today is I want to set up a charcoal grill. I want to trim and propagate my Hoya Linearis, and I want to try. Like I said, we may get to a couple more things, but I know I want to get to that stuff. So let's get to it. So before we go outside and set this thing up, I figure we can talk about it for a second. Oh, I don't know why I'm so creaky today. Hi. So this is the grill I picked up. I've been in this house for nearly 2 years without any form of grill. I don't know how that's been legally allowed where I live, but changing that this summer, and I'm changing that very quickly. So this right here is a Weber kettle grill. It's a charcoal grill. In the very near future, you will be seeing a propane grill that I'm picking up from my parents' house. It's gonna be a Weber Genesis. It's my dad's. He's kept it in really good shape, but it definitely needs some cleaning and some swapping of parts. So I'm sure that'll be in a video. And then hopefully before too long, there'll be a smoker somewhere around here. But we're starting with the charcoal grill. So for the specs, I guess, like I said, this is a Weber kettle. I think this is still in frame. It is the Jumbo Joe Premium. It is a 22-inch kettle grill. It is the larger of the cheaper Weber kettles. This was on sale, and I couldn't say no. I was hoping that there were other colors. I would love this in a red, but black is fine. Black is classic. So, hi Sandwich. Can you say hi to everyone? This is Sandwich. I don't think I've introduced Sandwich on the channel yet. If I have, sorry that I'm introducing you again. Here's hi. Oh, you gonna sit here? Okay, that's fine. Do you want to talk about the grill? Yeah, this is a 22-inch kettle grill from Weber. It is in black, and I bought a side table for it as well. I just know from having these in the past, having a side table is extremely helpful when you're getting things on and off the grill, or when things are kind of waiting on deck to go on the grill. So we'll set all this stuff up outside. It is hot as balls again. So I at least wanted to talk about it in here, but for the sake of switching up the shot, I'm gonna go suffer in the heat for you guys. Sound good? All right. All right, so that wasn't too bad. I think the biggest mistake I made in putting this grill together was, if you can see the handle right here should be directly above the leg that doesn't have the wheel on it. in my initial setup, this handle was actually over one of the wheels, which in moving this around was going to make that really difficult, because with the handle above this leg, you can lift the grill and slide it back and forth. That was not the case originally how I had it set up. So the grill is set up, it's looking good, it's fresh, it's clean, it needs a maiden voyage, but before we do that, I want to get this side table set up. So let's do that. This guy didn't come with instructions, but it looks pretty straightforward. I don't think I even need any tools for this. I'm guessing the legs with the plastic pieces on the end are the feet. Yeah, this should be pretty easy. Should time this. It's under 60-second setup. Adjustable legs, we'll get those set once we get it on the grill. Look at that, all right, it's done. Piece of cake, beautiful. There we go. Grossly overshot it. So let's do this. We'll bring it down on there. Make sure the hook's hook. The hook's got a hook. Beautiful. I'm gonna get that as level as you can on the grass. And that should be it. All right, we got a grill. I know it's so hot. We gotta go back inside, huh? Do you like the grill? What do you think? So yeah, all in all, that was a pretty easy setup. I think if I wouldn't have messed up the legs, probably could have gotten this all of this done in less than half an hour. So not too bad. And now I've got a grill. Now I just got to grill something. The lighting ain't great, but welcome to my guest room. I don't think you've seen this room on this channel before. I don't think I posted it yet, but you may have seen it if you follow me on TikTok. I've done a couple things in here, like a TV install and assembling, I think, some of this stuff. But this is also where my Hoya Linearis lives. And my Hoya Linearis is probably my favorite plant in my collection. When I got into Hoya, this one was on the wish list very quickly. It seemed as though it was going to be pretty difficult to find. And admittedly, I think it is still kind of tricky to find in plant shops. Maybe it's getting a little bit easier. But I was fortunate. I found this plant pretty early in my plant journey at Adam and Sons and Daughter in Chicago, which is one of my favorite plant stores. I found it in an 8-inch nursery pot. It was an established plant already. The vines probably hung about this far down. So you can imagine I was over the moon when I found it, and it was already that big, already that established. I purchased it, I brought it home, I babied it for a really long time. I heard they were finicky. I was afraid I was gonna lose it. So I kind of helicopter parented it. It ended up being okay. I eventually transitioned it from the nursery pot into this terracotta pot, and it took the transition really well. It has been taking off ever since. I've had to cut it back a few times as it's reached the ground a couple times before, but never at this capacity. In regards to the conditions that I have it in, this window behind me is a south-facing window. I'm in northern Illinois, so I get decent light throughout the year, but we don't get the best light for indoor growing. In the winter, this room gets really, really good light because there's no leaves on the trees behind me and the sun sits a little bit lower in the sky. We're in summer now, so the sun is sitting pretty high, which means the light isn't that intense. I had heard that this plant doesn't really like super high light. I took a gamble, which is surprising after everything that I said, and hung it here next to the south-facing window, and I've had really no issues with it since. I have not been able to get it to bloom for me. I've had peduncles on it a handful of times, but it always blasts the peduncles. At this point, when I see a peduncle, I don't even get excited. I just kind of assume it's going to blast. If you have this plant and you've had success blooming it, please let me know what you've done. Whether it be consistent watering, fertilization, light access, light reduction. I'm really interested because I'd love to see the blooms on this plant. So yeah, we're going to cut it back and we're going to propagate it. But before we do that, I wanted to show you one more thing. I've tried to propagate this plant a couple times, and I've really only successfully propagated it once. The most successful approaches I've had for propagating this plant has been propagating more or less full vines and in perlite. When I've done individual cuttings in soil, it's failed, but this is one of my successful propagations. And if you follow my channel, or if you're watching this, then you at this point should know who Benji Plant is. But I saw this treatment of a Hoya Linearis originally on Benji Plant's channel a while back, and this was probably the inspiration for wanting this Hoya. So I found this hanging planter at a thrift store a while back and knew that this was the perfect pot to try this with. So yeah, this has been really successful. It's grown probably about 8 inches since I've planted it in here, and I'm eventually going to hang it in the window in the other room, but for now it just kind of lives over here, and it's pretty happy doing so. So yeah, that's that. Let's propagate this plant. Okay, so the lighting should be a little bit better now that I'm not backlit. Well, now that I'm not in the shot at all. But we're on the ground, I'm out of frame, and we're looking at the bottom of this Hoya Linearis. I have already sterilized my scissors, and I've got some extra paper towels here because this plant has a white latex-based sap, and it's pretty sticky, and I don't want it on my floors, and I figure I could just minimize cleanup by putting a paper towel underneath where I'm doing most of the cutting. I should also say, as we're getting into this, that I think we all know this, I'm not an expert in anything, hence the name By Kyle and Error on this channel. So I am not a horticulturalist. I am not an Hoya expert. I am not a plant expert. So as I talk about these plants and their conditions and how I treat them, take it with a grain of salt. Some of it is specific to my experience. Some of it is probably dead wrong. If I am dead wrong about facts about plants, please feel free to jump in and let me know in the comments. But yeah, I felt like I should say that as I'm talking about plants, like I understand the ins and outs of them. I just like to look at them and cut them up. So what I think I'm going to do here is, I'm going to start by just laying this across the bottom. What I'm planning to do is, I just want it to be just off the floor. The plant is going to probably put out new growth somewhere along the plant or just off the end, but I'm not really concerned with that because I can keep trimming it back. So really, I just want the plant to hang just off the floor, and I'll let all the other vines catch up with these ones that have already made it. And what I'm going to do is just cut them back as close as I can to the leaf that I want to keep. And this will just minimize that tip dying back and looking ugly. So I'm going to go ahead and start doing that. Hopefully this angle doesn't suck. And then I'm just going to take these cut vines and lay them across this paper towel so it doesn't get everywhere. I mentioned that I had tried a few different methods to propagate this plant. So the way I'm going to try today is I'm going to try single nodes again because I'm going to change the medium. So the first time I propagated this plant with single nodes, and again, what I mean by single nodes, I can actually show you now. What I plan to do is take a vine like this. I'm going to count 1 node, 2 nodes. I'm going to cut right above the second node. Then I'm going to take that piece that I just cut and I'm going to pull off the leaves on the bottom node. This one only had 1. And I'm going to try to root it from here down. I may trim this back a little bit. I want to keep a node in there. The thing to note about Hoya, I believe all Hoya, again, please correct me, is Hoya can actually root from anywhere along the stem. So I don't believe I even need the node to get this thing to root. But I feel like putting a node under this sphagnum moss is going to increase its chances of producing roots. So I'm going to try to include as much stem and 1 node as I can underneath the medium in the hope that that maximizes rooting. And then a new plant should start to grow off the top here. So that's going to be the intent. And I'm just going to get back to trimming here. Yeah, this thing has really put out a lot of growth. I have cut it back before, and it just keeps coming. I believe cutting it like this also encourages growth off the top of the plant, which is definitely welcomed, because then over time it'll just fill out the plant even more. Right? These vines will just continue to grow longer and longer, but if by cutting them I'm promoting growth from the top, it's going to give me, this one's really tangled, give me a bushier plant in the long run. I know I could also replant some of these in the top of this, and I may do that just to see if I can get it to root, but we'll see. I got 3 more to go here, 2 more to go here. This one doesn't have much going for it. I'm really only going to try to root parts of the plant with established leaves. You can see I've got sap on my hand. You know, these little guys right here, these are definitely going to die and fall off. I don't really want to try, oh cool, I got that on my pants, dope. I don't really want to try rooting any bare stem for this, just because I have so much vine here, it feels unnecessary. I'd rather just focus on the more established parts of the cuttings. Yeah, I can see even some of these little ones have been falling off because I did just water this, but I think I let it go a little too long, so some of the young leaves are in the process of dropping, but it doesn't matter anymore because I just cut them off. And I'm going to leave this here just because I know it's going to drip a little bit, and then it should stop. But yeah, that's that. Here's all the cuttings. Let's see how much we got from that. Looks like almost another dang plant. Yeah, that's a whole lot of Hoya Linearis coming off the bottom of this already mature plant. So yeah, let's get this in some, well, let's cut this down and then we'll get it in sphagnum moss. I'm going to move us just because I don't want to keep cutting here on the floor. All right, I had to take a phone call, so I got started, but what I have in front of me is a slight change of plans. So real quick, I've got a container of sphagnum moss, some moist sphagnum moss. This is a watermelon container from Jewel. I didn't think I'd eat all of this, but I ate it in 2 sittings. So I felt like this is gonna be the perfect vessel to propagate these guys. So I've got that all laid out. I've got some rooting powder here. And then I already started cutting the Hoya Linearis. I'll come a little bit closer so you can see. But I know I said I was going to keep a node and then pull off the leaves. But once I started messing with this, I realized that's going to be way too much stem, way too much vine. And with how shallow the propagation vessel is, it's just not going to work out. So we're going to try it like this. Like I mentioned before, Hoya can root all along the vine or the stem, so it should be fine. It also may root from this node itself. I can already see the start of some, what I think are aerial roots there, or at least where they could start. But yeah, so this is the change of plans. I am going to dip all of these in rooting powder and then stick them in the sphagnum moss. Ooh, and I just stepped on my dog. Probably an easier way to do this rooting powder, but oh well. Yeah, and I'm getting pretty liberal with the cutting here. I'm not sure if you can see in the shot, but there's a small bowl in front of me where I'm just putting all the excess vine and all of the extra leaves that I'm pulling off, just so that, again, cleanup is as easy as possible, just like upstairs when we were cutting it. I'm trying to tuck these guys in. This is probably not here. I'll move over here. It's probably better. Yeah, and I'm not going to do this all on camera because obviously this is tedious and you get the picture, but I'm going to keep going to town. And I'll check back in. Jesus. I'll check back in once I've got this all situated. So here's where we ended up with everything. Over here we have a full tray of Hoya Linearis cuttings, all 2-leaf cuttings with the rooting powder on them. And then over here we have all the extra vine that just in my opinion wasn't worth trying to propagate. It was either young leaves, bare nodes, or single leaf portions of the vine. So yeah, we're gonna toss this. We're gonna put the lid on this guy and we're gonna put this in my grow tent. I've already put some holes in this for ventilation. So cool, let's get this in the grow tent. And looks like we're gonna have to make some room. Fungus gnat. Got him. I'm just gonna put this right down here in the corner. I wanna show you one thing actually while I've got this open. I mentioned I had propagated this plant before with basically a full vine. So this right here is an older Hoya Linearis prop. As you can see, the vine is not looking great. The green is kind of faded. It's pretty yellow. But if I open it and I get in there, it is all rooted. And I believe there's some new growth happening back there. My belief is if I planted pieces of this, it would probably be fine. But I mentioned earlier, I believe that some of the full vine props I've taken, just they don't look that great when you transition them to soil. So that's why we tried this method here. So yeah, there's my my grow tent. Mostly Hoya in there right now, and mosses for my terrariums.